get your shit together. Get it all together and put it in a backpack. All your shit. So it's together. And if you gotta take it somewhere, you know? Take it to the shit store and sell it. Or put it in a shit museum. I don't care what you do. You just gotta get it together. Get your shit together.
Well, if you want to know one group that's got it all together, it's this group. And I know I'm making a bold claim since I'm the one that usually has it the least together. I, of course, am your host, Marc Williams. And my next time I'm on a Big Apple Hockey broadcast, I will be a married man. Who'd have thought that? And the host of the final buzzer, the man that is riding the lightning and will fight fire with fire, Mr. John Fokowski.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to be referred to as. I mean, creeping death, I could call myself. That'd be a nice one.
Yeah, that actually wouldn't be a bad one, although you always answer the call, Cthulhu. And, of course, the intelligent man from the hockey news, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Does it really get any worse for the Colorado Avalanche with their injuries and goaltending problems? That team is just a walking wounded right now. I mean, they could put it this way. They have Oliver Shillington playing forward tonight because they're that ridden with injuries.
Anthony, that's an amazing thing. I still can't believe that. And
Alexa, play The Walking Wounded by Bayside.
Well, if there's anything actually that makes me feel a little bit better, guys, I think NHL Network, I think it was Boomer Gordon that referred to him as Oscar Shillington. So, I mean, it is almost Halloween. So that is one way of trying to get the Nightmare Before Christmas in there. Everybody, make sure you are subscribing to us. I never hawk us enough to make sure you say that. Make sure that you're doing that and hit the like button. And also, let's get down to the A block where we're going to be talking about a rough week for New York hockey. In the A block, of course, it is brought to you by Seat Geek. Use the promo code BigAppleHockey, $20 off your first order. And Big Apple Hockey trucker hats are available right now, as well as shirts. All right, so this week, let's start with this. The Rangers and Islanders, both of them 1 and 2. Rangers right now second in the Metro. The Islanders are listed as 6. That could change a lot in a quick second. But first, it started out with Alexei Lafreniere getting extended Friday. That was 7 years, $7.45 million. Then Saturday night, controversy brewing. The Islanders did not make Patrick Waugh available or players available before the game. Patrick Waugh then had some choice comments saying on Pierre Engvall's recall, we all know what he did the last 2 years. And I guess Lou thought it was a good moment to bring him back and play. And on Semyon Varlamov later, it's a team game. We have to find a way to win, even when he's not at his best. So we'll flash some stats for the Islanders lately. But then, Phil, how about this other story that's brewing? Larry Brooks saying that Rangers center Mika Zibanejad was not thrilled about his reduced ice time. If you look back a couple years, he was getting 21:38. This season so far, 18:15, and he got far less in the last game. Phil, we'll start with the Rangers. I was looking to start with the Islanders, but Anthony's having a little bit of an issue. Phil, what's going on here?
Too much sloppy play. I've said this all season so far that, especially with the last 4 or 5 games, they've been really, really sloppy. They were sloppy against Detroit, really sloppy against Arizona. They lost that game in overtime, obviously. Just, it seems like a lot of the habits from last year earlier on are rearing their ugly heads again. And they got complacent against a Washington team that was seeking revenge after getting swept out of the playoffs and getting absolutely embarrassed. Alexander Ovechkin scored more goals last night than he did in all 4 games of that series last year, which was a big fat 0. So that's not good for the Rangers. And they're not getting efforts from the guys that they need to get efforts from, especially guys like Mika Zibanejad. What am I going to do? I'm going to sit there and just go on a tirade on him and rip on him. I know that's what everybody wants me to do right now. There's nothing more than I would love to do than to do that. But I think there's a serious issue with this guy, and it's been going on for quite some time now. Something needs to change, and I'm going to say this: Peter Laviolette talks about accountability, and he held some players accountable last year. Made the decision to waive Nick Bonino and Tyler Pitlick and not use those guys when they clearly weren't good enough for the roles at the NHL level. I think he needs to send a clear-cut message to Mika Zibanejad right now, and that is that your efforts are simply not good enough. Whatever you're going through, you got to figure it out, get everything together, and start showing up on a nightly basis, because this guy plays too soft. He's shying away from playing the corners. He's not moving his feet on the power play. The effort is just not there, and the only way that this is going to change is if he sends a message and benches him. It's got to happen. It should have happened last year. It didn't happen last year. It needs to happen this year. It really needs to happen, and it needs to happen sooner than later. And Keandre Miller, the same thing. I know everybody loves to go goo gaga over these expected goals for stats and so on, and how they tell you that Miller and Fox are such a great pair. Yeah, well, Clarence and Terrence have a great marriage too, while we're at it. So, no, but things are not all sunny with that pairing. They don't look good in their own zone defensively. Adam Fox looks tentative to play this type of game that he normally does play. And you saw it last night. The minute that they switched up the pairings and that Lindgren was put back with Fox, what did Fox start doing? Started doing things that he normally does. Gets involved in the play offensively. Gets aggressive. He's down low. But he's also back to cover when he needs to cover. And you want to know why? Because he can't do that with Keandre Miller. He can't. Keandre Miller runs around like a chicken with his head cut off, chasing guys almost out of the offensive zone when they have the puck. You can't be doing that. Keandre Miller made 3 or 4 ridiculously soft plays, 2 of them leading to goals last night. It's got to stop from him. He's either all over the place and he's hitting guys, and it looks like the defenseman that he could become if he put everything together. And then on other nights, he looks like he's soft, lazy, disinterested, doesn't care, just kind of going through the motions, just like Zibanejad. So you know what? Something's got to change with these guys. Something's got to change with the two of them. And Laviolette's got to send a message. You have someone like Zach Jones, who's been playing well every time he's in the lineup, coming in and basically like a spot starter in baseball, and he plays well. And so why is Jones getting punished and not playing when you have Miller, who just thinks that, oh, okay, my spot's fine. I'm not going anywhere. Stop letting these guys think that. And this is really it. Entirely too comfortable. And State of Survival is probably talking about the Islanders because I know he's an Islander fan. But
we're going to get Anthony's opinion on that in 1 second.
It applies to the Rangers, though, too. So, yeah, there needs to be a change, and players need to be held accountable. And funny enough, I made a post about it, and Stan Fischler actually commented on the post and basically said that I was right and that they're fat cats, and because they're salary, and that's why that's why there's no accountability there. You know what? For all of Stan's comments about Shesterkin, which I don't always agree with, I have to agree with him on his reply to my comment there. Fat cats. Send a message, Peter, please.
Well, that's definitely one thing that they have to do. They have to send a message, and they got to let it be known, because you can't just have Mika Zibanejad be a power play merchant and expect, hey, we're gonna go to the Stanley Cup Finals and such, because that's the reason why they didn't go in 2022. It looked like they were going to do it. He had a great first 8 periods of the Eastern Conference Finals that year. He scores the first goal in Game 3, assists on the second goal, and then nothing after that. Absolutely nothing. And then you know how many goals he scored in the Eastern Conference Finals last year? He's tied with the 3 of us. That's the hint on that one. So Mika Zibanejad, he's got to awaken something inside of him, because here's the thing, and Anthony and I had shouting matches about this. He's stuck here. Rangers have stuck with him. And unless that some miracle he actually wants out, he's not going to want out. How are we going to be able to sell that? They'd be like, oh, we're going to go to a Stanley Cup with that. Anthony, first, we're going to get your comment on the Zibanejad situation, and then just go ahead and lead right into the controversy going on with the Islanders right now and the frustration.
Mika Zibanejad has been terrible. I've been seeing him get dragged through the mud by a lot of Ranger fans on X, and it's well deserved. He hasn't been good, and then he complains about like ice time. He's talking about how this for me this dates back to the playoffs and how he really wasn't good in the playoffs, and Sean Avery made me laugh, and although it was true when he said to him he was too busy DJing in Ibiza all summer and criticized his effort. He just looks lazy. Hopefully for the Rangers he can turn it around, because they certainly need him to be a top player, especially for how much money he's getting paid, $8.5 million. He needs to be much, much better. If I'm Peter Laviolette, it's not acceptable at all. And the only thing, again, Mark, you mentioned the shouting match. We'll agree to disagree. No movement clause doesn't mean that he's married to the Rangers. There's ways to get guys to waive it. And we talked about it before. If Chris Drury were to say, you're not in my plans anymore, I'll find you a home where maybe you'd want to go, I'm sure they could work it out. It's not impossible for him to move. If PLD,
highly unlikely, is what I'll say.
If PLD can move with 7 years left on his contract.
Yeah, if you can move that contract,
and Mika Zibanejad can move too. So
not only that, but to elaborate on what Anthony is saying here, the comments about this last dance, the whole thing that are coming from Trubin and some of the other players on the team and management. If that's the case, and they lose again, they don't get the job done, and Drury goes to Zibanejad, I mean, do you really think that Zibanejad is going to stay around if he gets the game plan and he knows, hey, you know what, this guy's going to be moving? What if he tells him that they're going to move Kreider too? They move his best friend. He's probably going to want out too.
Yeah. Although, again, guys, I always go back to this. Timo Solani moved on to Anaheim. Paul Kariya ended up staying and going to a Stanley Cup Finals without Solani. Kariya then moved on, and Solani went back to Anaheim, and he won a Stanley Cup there. So sometimes your best friends they're there. It's just they're just teammates, and you go on. You have your separate lives, even though you still remain friends and such. Anthony, let's go back to Saturday night. The Islanders didn't make Patrick Waugh and some of the Islanders available. Waugh's comments on Pierre Engvall and Semyon Varlamov are there. Is it just frustration setting in, or is this a sign that could be something more?
No, I don't. I'm not buying into any of this Waugh stuff. I'm honestly, I'm not even going to address it. I mean, Waugh's a passionate guy. He wants to win. All he said was Lou feels as though it was time to recall Engvall and give him another shot. The day after that comment with Waugh, he came out and said the talk about anything with him and Lou not seeing eye to eye is ridiculous. And so I don't buy any of that. The one thing I will say, if you're talking about trouble brewing in New York, not with manager and coach, it's more so their play on the ice. To me, that's the issue that's brewing. And if you look at it, they were last year. We all know what their bugaboo was. Their penalty kill was terrible. Entering last night, they're 30th in PK, and they allowed two power play goals to Anaheim Ducks last night, who have been dreadful on the power play so far this season, and they allowed 2 goals to the Ducks while they were shorthanded. So the penalty kill still hasn't been fixed. And obviously, we all know that they have blown leads this season too, which has been a problem for them last year as well. So when you look at those issues, you start to think, well, maybe it's not necessarily the coach. I mean, I will say I don't think Lane Lambert was the answer for the Islanders, the head coaching position. I think they made the right move by removing him. But my point is, if these things are happening under Lambert and now happening under Waugh, it's not so much the coach, I think, as more so the personnel. And I feel, especially when you're talking about the penalty kill, change it up. I mean, don't use the same don't use the same guys. How about you move on from some of the defensive pairs you use, or Pajot or Holmstrom? How about you try at this point? Because what do you have to lose if you put, Matt Barzal and, Maxim Siplikov on the penalty kill? I mean, could it really be much worse? I mean, they're 30th in the league. Why not try to change it up? So that needs to be fixed. They need to get a handle on the penalty kill. They can't keep letting up power play goals like this. If not for those power play goals, the Islanders win 1-0 last night.
Mm-hmm.
They outshot the Ducks 49-22 or something like that. Like same thing with the Red Wings. That when they lost 1-0, they totally controlled the play and outshot them by more than 2-1. So, and that's my next point. They're outshooting some of these teams, but not scoring. Their offense needs to start putting the puck in the net. And poor Ilya Sorokin. I mean, if you look at Ilya Sorokin's numbers right now, he's got a 1.80 GAA. It's second in the league. His save percentage is tied for fifth. I think 932 or 936. He's playing phenomenal, and yet he's losing games because the Islanders aren't giving him goal support. I tweeted it before. It's like the Mets with Jacob deGrom getting no run support. This guy gets no help whatsoever. And it's got to be really frustrating for him, being that he's playing at such a high level and the Islanders aren't scoring. But, at the end of the day, I think that, and I also talked about this on X, I think a change is needed. I mean, we talked about it last week. At this point, no one is making a big trade right now, so I get that. It's going to be hard to do, but realistically, I think that's what they need to do. And for all you guys on here, anyone familiar with Incarcerated Bob, and there's not just a rumor about the site; it's his opinion, but he's right. He talked about how in '90, when they made the LaFontaine for Turgeon trade, Bill Torrey recognized that something wasn't working. He made a big trade. He traded one star for another. The day after making that Turgeon LaFontaine trade, he then traded Brent Sutter, longtime Islander, traded him to Chicago for Steve Thomas. He got new blood in there. He switched things up. And, I agree with him. I think that Lou needs to do something to change the makeup of this team. And, what I'm about to say, it's no slight on him, because I think Matt Barzal is a phenomenal hockey player. He's an 80-plus point hockey player. I think, on the right team, if he skated next to Nathan McKinnon, he has the potential to score 90 or even more. And this isn't on him. But when you want to try to shake things up, I mean, you trade Barzal for another star player. Again, it's not his fault, but you got to do something to really change the makeup of this team, because last couple of years, it hasn't worked. Islander fans want to see a team that doesn't struggle to get into the playoffs in the last week of the season. They want a team that's, a true contender. And so far right now, if nothing changes, yeah. Could they be a playoff team? I absolutely think they can. And, they likely will, but it's gonna be a battle to get there. And then once they do, how far can they really go? So I think some change is needed here, and unfortunately, it's probably not going to happen, because also in hindsight, they're playing their 10th game tonight, so sky isn't falling. I get that. I just think that something has to change, and a lot of fans are starting to get on Lou Lamoriello, and that's why kind of this is being talked about right now. They're not happy with him, and they see the product on the ice. They were getting booed last night when they're on the power play and not scoring and all this, and so yeah, it's tough right now for them. But I think that Lou needs to find a way to give this team a kick in the behind, because right now they're not helping Ilya Sorokin, and problems from last year are still creeping back into their game.
Yeah, hands down, because they already did the coach thing. Can't do it again 2 years in a row. So
this is third coach, Trotch, Lambert, Waugh. So it's
right. The same thing I said about the Rangers last year. You can't blame the coach this time around. It's the boy that cried wolf. When are you going to look at the players? And I think that you're onto something with a Matt Barzal deal. I really do. I know it's not going to be Horvat because they just traded for him, and he doesn't have the value that Barzal does. Quite frankly, to tell you the truth, I just don't think he does. Even though I'm not like totally convinced that Matt Barzal is anything more than what he is, maybe an 80-point player, I still think he holds a hell of a lot more value than Horvat. With that said, if you can go and you can make a trade that could shake up the team, that's one, going to shake up the nucleus. Two, it's going to send a message that's going to reverberate throughout that entire organization. I just don't see Lamoriello having the stones to do it. And I know that criticizing Luke could get me with a pair of cement boots, if you will. But I don't think he has the stones to do it. I just, when was the last time he made that type of trade that shook up an entire organization? Are we going back to the restricted free agent offer sheet for Scott Stevens? Is that
We might go all the way back to Ilya Kovalchuk, I think.
Kovalchuk? I mean, maybe.
Phil, that's still 2010.
Help me call.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. That's a very, very long time ago. That's 2010. And that was an impending free agent. But Matt Barzal would be a bigger trade because he's under contract. Like, this would be a massive hockey trade if he was to deal someone like that. So I don't see it happening, even though I totally agree that it needs to at this point. And I think the LaFontaine Turgeon comparison was probably the best analogy that you could think of to fit not only for the type of trade that they need, but the situation that they're in now, that they've had this team together for so long. They gotten close twice. They haven't gotten the job done, and now it feels like everything is regressing. Like, where do you go from here other than that? What are you going to fire another coach and just go through the textbook definition of insanity, expecting a different result when you're doing the same thing over and over again, like the merry-go-round that Evan was talking about in the chat? No, I don't think that's going to help anything. I think that there either needs to be a change above, or there needs to be a change with the players. And I think a change above will spurn a change with the players, because the change above will have people that will come in that won't have that same loyalty to said players, and they'll be more willing to make that deal.
Well, continuing what you guys are saying with that, and just I think Lou is just not as reactionary to make a deal right now when it comes to that. He's a little bit more pragmatic. He's gonna go right there. Wow, that's actually an interesting deal right there.
That's very interesting.
But again, that's a big contract you got to move as well. He's got no move protection. He likes Long Island. He might not want to go. So that's going to be an issue, trying to see if he can clear him. However,
how much he loves Long Island?
Right. You know who else loves Long Island and is an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year? And they name a month after him on Islander land. Brock Nelson's available. Even though that would send shockwaves through the team, maybe that would wake people up, and you could still get a Bevy back. I don't think the Islanders make a move at all right now. I think they're still gonna be trying. They're just gonna say it's a bad spell. They haven't found their game yet, and then move on from there. But
I can't agree with you here. State of Survival, seeing Barzal at the same level as Doug Gilmour. Doug Gilmour was quite the established player at that point. I don't think Barzal's nearly at that level. Even if we're talking like in comparison to his peers at the time, I don't see it. I'm sorry.
All right. And Anthony, last word on this.
Look, like I said before, they're playing their 10th game of the year tonight against the Blue Jackets. So it's still early, but the saying goes, it gets late
early, Yogi.
Early, yeah. So they need to beat Columbus tonight. But Columbus, they just waxed Toronto. That team has been through a lot. We all know what that is. So they play hard. So the Islanders got to go into Columbus and they got to get a win, and then hopefully start to build some momentum. And Sorokin played last night, so Varlamov is the guy in net, and Varlamov needs to step his game up because if you look at his stats compared to Sorokin, who they both play for the same team, It's not even close right now. So Varlamov needs to be better. I think he knows that. Why even said so himself. He said he's not worried about him. He's a veteran. He's been around a long time, which is all true. So hopefully he can find his game and then get a win tonight. But the two big things, try to fix the penalty kill and, hold on to leads. If they can get those things in check, then I think they'll be okay.
Well, they've been trying to fix the penalty kill for a while, and that used to be among the best in the NHL. So they really need to get that back and get that corrected. And of course, holding on to leads. Hey, everybody, we want to make you some money. Before we send you out to DraftKings, we got our resident gambler that we have right here who's going to tell you the parlay. Anthony, what do you got for tonight?
Well, you asked me for a parlay, so I created one. I didn't place it, but
I did.
Yeah, there you go.
I put my money where your mouth is.
Yeah. anytime goal scores, Kyle Connor just had a hat trick the other night. He's on fire. Nikita Kucherov playing against Capo Kakinen in Colorado. His first NHL game since last year when he was playing for the Sharks after the trade with the Devils. So I think that's a good bet. We all know Dylan Guenther, how his goal scoring prowess early in the year. I like him to score tonight. And then, only 2 more days of Brocktober left. Nelson's been pretty good of late. I like him scoring against the Blue Jackets tonight.
I did one as well, Anthony. A second one, just because I was like, what the hell? Might as well. I took the Jets over the Red Wings. The Islanders Blue Jackets over 6.5. I know it's funny when you're going, hey, you're going to actually do that? Well, as I showed before, the Islanders have 4 times where they've scored 4 or more goals. And the Blue Jackets, I believe they've scored 6 in all their wins. Like that's a little bit crazy. I know they've done it at least 3 times.
What was the payout on this parlay right here?
Mine is yours right there. It's plus 239, and they win 144 with a bet of $5. So
not
I did a $10 parlay, and then I went with the over in the Islander game, the Winnipeg Jets, the Lightning over the Avalanche because Kakinen, like you said. I didn't call him the wrong name this time, so that's also good. I actually just for the gut, I took Calgary to win over Utah tonight. That's sometimes in order to get these odds up, you need to get an underdog in there. Golden Knights over Kings. I'm just not impressed with the season, and the over in the Devils Canucks game. Take that tonight. So all right, nice. So there's Anthony's. He knows more because he actually wins more than I do, and we're gonna take that and go to a message from DraftKings. Stick around, everybody, because we're doing our NHL Tricks or Treats. Hockey fans light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sports app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN.
Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Doctor, you're wanted on the phone.
Chill.
Simmer down now.
I'm freaking out!
All right, guys. So Halloween is tomorrow, and we did this last year. We were doing Halloween costumes at one point. I like this format a little bit better. It's NHL Tricks or Treats, and
Good luck.
telling Anthony I need to win. I haven't seen green in over a week. God, I haven't seen green in a while, guys. So I gotta go with that one. We had a huge one that we put up, right? We put up like a bunch of guys that score 1 goals than for anytime goal scorers. That would have been incredible. And I think we had a couple of them score too. That was the funnier part. So, guys, you got to decide whether or not it's a trick or a treat. And although one of them kind of seems negative, we'll get to that one in a second. Maybe we'll clarify it. Let's start with this one. Vegas Golden Knights, Marc Stone tied for the league lead in points. Bilk, is that a trick or a treat?
I'm going to say trick. Not trying to. You use the wrong GIF.
Oh, sorry.
Trick.
There you go. I think I was more that it's being obstructed right now. I'm kind of more annoyed about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, he will. He's a very good player. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to have him. I would. There's a few guys on this team that I would trade for Marc Stone right now. Wouldn't even care. But we haven't seen him score at this type of level ever in his career. I would say this is a hot start. If he maintains this and he scores like 90 to 100 points, good for him. But, I mean, he's really kind of just been a point per game, great two-way forward that's a Selke caliber type forward at his very best. So it's just not something we've seen before, so I'm going to say trick.
Anthony?
Yeah, I agree here. This is a trick. He's a great player. One of the better two-way players over the last handful of years. But to be scoring at this rate for him is certainly unusual. Could this be a career year that he's going to have? Yes, possibly. But by the time Thanksgiving rolls around, I won't be surprised if he's not in the top 20 in points in the league. So. Really good player, but yeah, I think this is a trick.
Yeah, I'm gonna go trick too, guys. And I love Marc Stone, great player, one of the best two-way players in the league, and probably the reason why Vegas won this Stanley Cup. But just look at games played the last. Let's start from 1920. 65 games, 55 games, 37 games. Now I understand shortened seasons with a couple of those. 43, 56, and right now he's got 10. As sooner or later, he's going to be out and on LTIR to make room for Vegas acquiring. I don't know. They could acquire Connor McDavid because that's what Vegas does, pulling out people out of nowhere. You're like, how'd they get that guy? Sort of like when they got Thomas Hertl at the trade deadline with 5 minutes remaining. Well, yes, that is true. That is true, Willie. It's just but that's why it's a trick or a treat, because it's Halloween. So let's move on to the next one. How about this one? Because I'll judge them right now. Pittsburgh Penguins, 3-7-1. And is this a trick or a treat? Guys, it's no trick. This is the treat. So I guess it's the treat for the rest of the NHL. Look, they might make a run. Sidney Crosby's going to get going. Malkin right now is producing, but this team's got a lot of defensive problems. And they've had a lead in I think every game that they've lost, except for the shutout in Edmonton. Or they were shut out the other night. They didn't have the lead. But no, this isn't a trick. They're this bad. Anthony?
Yeah, this is a treat. They're just obviously their trio, Letang, Malkin, Crosby. They're trying their best they can, but they don't have much help. They're getting older themselves. I mean, Tristan Jarry, the number one goalies in the minors on a conditioning stint. I think this is going to be the third year in a row they missed the playoffs. I don't see them. I mean, while I think they will start playing a little better than this, I don't think it's far off from what they really are. So, treat for sure.
Yeah, and also, hey, look at that goal that was scored last night against Minnesota. That the goaltender's hugging the post. They still got it short side. Phil?
This is get the hoop. This is a treat. I mean,
This is a layup treat.
Yeah, it's get the hoop. It's. I'm sorry, I had to highlight this because this is just funny. Oh man, but Yeah, Sidney Crosby before last night had 7 points in 10 games. He had a 3 assist night last night, and he while he still looks good, he doesn't look like a dominant player. I mean, there are nights where he looks great, and then nights where he's just completely phased out because the rest of the team around him is just it's not good right now. Really isn't. Malkin's hot start has cooled off quite a bit. Jari is a conditioning stint because he just has been brutal. Alex Nedeljkovic is your starting goaltender right now. I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't buy this team at all. I think this team they're not going to come close to the playoffs like they did like last year or the year before. I think they're going to be further away and closer to a draft lottery.
All right. One guy that's playing really well, and you got to give him plenty of credit for it. Ottawa's Drake Batherson, 12 points in 9 games. Anthony, trick or treat?
I mean, he's one hell of a player. I mean, I think he's a little underrated there in Ottawa. He is back-to-back 60 plus point seasons, which is certainly nothing to sneeze at. That's pretty good. So, I mean, this one I go in between because, like, I do think there is another level to his game because he is still young. Like, I think there's room for him to improve upon 66 points last year. I do think he can get into the 70s. So right, but 12 points in 9 games. Obviously, this pace that's well over 82 points. Is he that level good? I'm not sure of. So I kind of lie somewhere in the middle, but I gotta say treat because I do think he is gonna have a career year. And he's going to shatter that 66 point mark. But I just don't know if he's, an 80 plus point player. I think he might be somewhere in between. But either way, I mean, he's one of Ottawa's top players, and it's showing this year.
Phil, what do you think?
Todd Radigan says we need a beer option in the middle of
yeah. Well, this is the great thing when you only have 2. So that's why it's great for Bar Talk. We have beer.
I could actually go for a Shipyard Pumpkinhead right about now. No, those are just phenomenal pumpkin beers if you haven't had them.
By the way, I am a big hypocrite. I hate doing the pumpkin rim when I work, and then I go out and I order it. So
you talked about having it all together here.
Yeah.
What a shame. I'm gonna go Trick. And I think Anthony really said all that really could be said about it. I like the player. I think there is potential room for growth. I'm not buying a pace of 90 plus points for him because that's what this pretty much announced to be. I think if you do the numbers, that's actually 109 points, actually. So that's even more. I estimated. Wow, my math sucks. Mark Williams math level right here.
Oh, my math is usually good.
Yeah. I was about to say your math at work is usually really good. My math in general just sucks. So yeah. But no, I'm not buying a 109 point pace. I don't even know if I'm buying 90 from him. If he finishes 70 to 80, that wouldn't surprise me. But for a guy that has a career high of 68, I'm not buying this just yet. Trick.
You know what? I'm going to join Anthony. I'm going to go treat on this one. I think he's getting better. He improves with something every single season. Because my gut is to say he had health problems because I always remembered him having health problems early on in his career. 20 games, 23 games his first 2 seasons, but then 56 in the shortened season, 46 in the 21-22 season. And I'm pretty sure that's because he got tripped up and hurt his leg, and he was out for a good portion of that season. Got tripped up by a Buffalo goalie, if I recall correctly. And then 82. So he's going to play. And the last couple of years, 22 goals, 28 goals. He went from a -35 to a -9. I think he's going to keep improving in several areas, and I think he's going to end up being somebody to be reckoned with. Maybe not 90 points, maybe not 109, Phil, but maybe 70. I'll go with Anthony on that. At least that's a bit of a trick. Or sorry, treat. I mean, one guy. How about this one? Dylan Cousins staying in that division. 0 goals this season. And this guy that potted 31 a couple years ago. Bill, we're going to you. Trick or treat.
First thing I'm going to say is, Buzz, your girlfriend, woof. 0 goals. This has got to be a trick. He's got to rebound from this. It's a former first-round pick here, 70-point year a couple years back. I just don't see how he continues, but a lot of things have been off in Buffalo, and Tage Thompson hasn't looked like he looked, 2 years ago, where he had almost 50 goals and 100 points. I think this has got to be a trick. He's got to rebound from this. Even if he's just a 25-goal, 60-point player going forward, this can't be what he's going to be. Something is really wrong in Buffalo. Maybe there's a big change needed. Maybe he gets dealt as part of a big deal. Who knows? But this has got to be a trick. Anthony?
Yeah, he's an interesting player to try to figure out, because as Phil referenced 2 years ago, he had that year where he looked like he was going to be a star, and then last year he dropped down to 47 points and wasn't nearly as good. And now this year he's got 3 points in 10 games. So where does he lie? Is he going to be that player from 2 years ago, or is he going to be more the player that he was last year? Kind of like just a middling, 45 to 50 point guy. I don't know. But this season, 3 points in 10 games, I got to think that's a trick. But, because of last year and how he started this year, I'm starting to think that his breakout year, if you call it, was a trick. So I don't know, but 0 goals and 3 points in 10 games, that's a trick. He is better than that. I just don't know if he's going to get back to the level he was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm going to take that down, and I'm going to put that one right back up, guys, because I think he's got to be better than this. Lindy Ruff usually gets like career seasons out of guys or gets them to be better. Maybe there's excuses we're all trying to fill right now. Because after all, wasn't that the reason why they were bad? Like last year at one point, they're trying to be better defensively. Well, maybe he's trying to be better. Maybe like they're all trying to be better defensively right now. That's affecting some of the offensive numbers. But Buffalo's they're back to, I think they got 9 points right now. But they got guys that need to get back to their potential. And a couple years ago, I was at that Islander Sabres game where Ryan Miller, guest of our show, retired his number, and Cousins had the game winner in overtime. It was I thought it was the start of something special for him, but it wasn't. Apparently not. All right. Calgary's Dustin Wolf has a .924 save percentage. Now, I don't think he's going to be in the 920s, Anthony, but is this a trick or a treat?
I think it's a treat. I think, this is a guy that was highly regarded at the AHL level. I believe he won like the equivalent of the Vezina Trophy in the AHL while he was down there. He was considered one of the better goaltending prospects in the league. So yeah, I think it's a treat. I think he's going to be a very good goaltender for Calgary. Is he going to stay at 924? I don't know, but I could see him, 918, 919, or even 920. So I'll go treat here.
Phil?
Yeah, I'm going treat as well. He's been highly regarded for a very long time. Calgary's been waiting for him to come up to really be the guy for them, and it looks like he's arrived. I don't see them going back. I like him and Vladar as a pairing, as a tandem. I think last year was a little bit of a blip on the radar, getting used to the NHL on a really bad team. But I think he's here to stay. He was also US's gold medal winning goalie when they won in 2021. at the World Juniors, a team that Brett Berard was on, funny enough. But yeah, they were. He's a hell of a goaltender. I think. I really think that this is his breakout year. This is the year where he really wrangles the starting job and he takes it going forward.
Would have thought we'd ever have the day where a guy from Gilroy, California, is the starting goaltender for the Calgary Flames. I'm going to go Treat on this one too, guys. I think he's going to be pretty good. I had to say that parameter of he's going to be at least at the respectable number because I know Phil would say it's easy. He's not going to be a 924. So I had to at least kind of at least get some clarification right there. And one more for us, guys. Vilk, the Rangers, Victor Mancini, 4 points and a +4 rating so far. Look, is he going to stick or is this just a trick?
I think he sticks. There's definitely work that needs to be done, though. He has a habit of losing his man in his zone. There's been like 3 or 4 goals against this year where he's ran out of position and then lost his guy and hasn't got back to it. I think it was the second goal that the Capitals scored last night. That was him. He threw a hit on somebody in the middle of the defensive zone and then failed to get back into position to cover his guy that he lost. Mancini's got to be a little better defensively. You like the one-on-one play, you like the skating, you like the ability to move the puck, but he's got to be better at covering the man in his own zone.
Anthony?
I mean, when you try, he has 4 points. You're trying to say like he should have 0. So like when I say Treat, what am I supposed to?
Oh, Treat. I mean, he's 4 points. I think he's 5th among rookies in scoring right now.
What I think Anthony's trying to ask is, what is the actual premise here with this?
Yes.
Well, is he going to stick? Is he going to stick around the big club, or they're going to send him back down to the AHL?
No, I'll say Treat then. I think he'll stick with the big club. I mean, as Phil said, he does have areas of his game he needs to clean up. Young, like I mentioned numerous times, young defensemen take a while to come into their own. So I think they'll be patient with him. I think he'd have to become a real train wreck, or they acquire somebody for them to send him down. So I think for now he's here to stay.
Yeah, I think he's here to stay too for right now, especially. They're trying to find reasons to send him down. They don't have anything right now, as the Statboy Steven was saying on his Twitter space the other day when it was coming to him. And look, I've been impressed with his work. I think he does get a little over aggressive. He does tend to rush up ice and then get back. So it'll be interesting to see how well he really integrates. Then they got Zach Jones that's still trying to get in there. Injuries can also change that up, and then they could end up starting to, test the depth of your organization. For the Rangers, they got to be happy knowing that they got this kid in there.
I would love to see them bench Miller for a game and send a message to Miller and get Jones in there, because Jones, the way that Jones has played this season, the way he played last season, he should be playing, and he should have played against Florida. Should have played last night. And Keandre Miller needs to wake up and stop playing complacent hockey.
And just one quick one, because originally we were drafting this up. I threw on Ilya Sorokin on there. You got to say that's a treat for the way the Islander fans have seen him. Yeah, it's expected how good he is. But Anthony, I mean, you hear back surgery. He misses camp. He comes out. This is like a Vezina quality Ilya Sorokin right now.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I don't think, for a lot of people that follow the Islanders, they're not surprised, because look at it, his body of work has been this way since he came to the NHL. It was only last year that he was, average,
Yeah.
So I think that, he had a little bit of an issue there with his back, and I think he got worn down there, and it caused his game to falter. But he's back now, and he's going to give the Islanders a chance every time he starts. So
remember in the season preview when I said that they would probably be fighting for that last playoff spot? But the comforting thing for Islander fans would be that they have the best goaltender out of any team, and probably even tandem out of any team fighting for that last playoff spot. Well, Ilya Sorokin's back, and he's back to form a lot earlier than I expected. But you cannot be dead last in the NHL in scoring. Scored and expect that's got to change, and it's got to change now.
I don't know if you were talking about specifically on his back, if it was like a lower lumbar or one of the higher ones. I don't know. Maybe you guys would, but we got a lot more coming at you guys on NHL Bar Talk.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
I'm going to say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. I got to update that again for us, but we'll see if we get some more crazier responses in there. It's so hard to top the ones that we got in there right now. Because welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey's NHL Bar Talk, where we're gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice to drink. You so confident you're buying around? So have a beer. Or oh God, I need a shot. Play along down in the comments below, everybody. And let's stick with the New York Rangers on this one, because does anybody know who leads the NHL in plus minus?
I do. It's Philip Hedl.
Yeah, Philip Hedl. I mean, I know I'm one of the people that still take stock in plus minus, but still, Philip Hedl leads the NHL with a plus 11. Will Cooley plus 10. Kapokako a plus 9. And with the Zibanejad line getting less ice time than this one, Phil, the Rangers, Hedl, Cooley, Kako line will be an effective playoff line.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to answer this question.
That's what I was saying.
Because it's and I appreciate the effort on this one, but like I don't know how you can quantify this in any such sort of way. It's like Chris T saying it's a little early to say this, and not only that, but is there any guarantee that Kako's going to be here after this trade deadline?
That's a good question. And you know me, I've advocated that Philip Hedl might be the one that gets moved as well.
If Philip Hedl keeps playing like this, there's no way they are moving Philip Hedl.
But
they would quit to go to Zibanejad and tell him to pack his shit and leave before they would move Philip Hedl if this continues. So I don't know. I can't answer this.
All right, let me rephrase. We'll come back to this one. We'll figure out.
I have to call that an incomplete, Mark.
We'll call that an incomplete. You know, it's
first time I'm going to.
You know the talking point I was trying to get to. Phil, feel free to rephrase that. Let's go to an easier one, because we got Smithtown's Kyle Palmieri leads the New York Islanders with 7 points so far in 9 games. Anthony, the Islanders' Kyle Palmieri is the best player ever from Suffolk County, Long Island.
Well, Adam Fox is Jericho. That's Nassau.
Charlie McAvoy's Long Beach, Nassau.
Yeah, that's Nassau. Shane Pinto, not even matters. He's too early in his career. That's Franklin Square. That's Nassau. I'm gonna have to go round here. I mean, there aren't many players from Suffolk like out in my area. Chris Higgins is from Smithtown too, but correct. Chris Higgins doesn't own any 30-goal seasons. Palmieri has 2, so by default, yeah. I mean, the only thing I'll add, James Higgins is likely going to take this crown once he becomes an NHL player. But yeah, right now, I don't think there's any other players from Suffolk County that you could say have had a better career than Kyle Palmieri.
Phil?
I mean, I was going over the list of players from Suffolk County with Mark before we got on. I could think of Higgins, Komisarek, and Eric Nystrom that all came from that 0-2 first round. Nystrom and Komisarek were really depth pieces, even though Komisarek we thought was going to be a good top four for a while. But then, the increase in skating in the game kind of killed his career. Higgins is really the closest one I can think of. I can't think of any others that are born and raised in New York. Kyle Palmieri, I don't even really think I don't even know if he could count in this, to tell you the truth. Because while he was born here, he wasn't raised here.
No, he moved to New Jersey when he was like 5, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know if anything could. I don't know if you really count Palmieri at this point.
And speaking about guys, we're having trouble counting on this one, Anthony. We know. I think I know. Tice Thompson played for Suffolk. So it is Tage for the Long Island Royals. I think he played for them at one point. But does that mean Tage Thompson's from here? I think.
What?
I do think.
No, I think we're reaching here. Tage Thompson moved all around the U.S. growing up, apparently. But Matt Gilroy was Long Island too. Yes, but he's North Belmore. Kincaid is Suffolk. You know what? Just because it doesn't say that it has to be born and raised, this is really just born. I'm gonna go round, but I think this one would have to be under review. Mark Williams.
Yeah.
So Tage hockey.
This one I outsourced.
By the way, Mark, hockey DB has Tage Thompson born in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah,
which
Phoenix,
was,
Arizona. I think
but there was
Louis
supposedly he lived in Long Island for a little bit.
There was on an SI article I just read about Long Island being the new hockey hotbed.
Yeah, Matt saying Tage Thompson played a year with the Royals.
Yeah, all right. So it wasn't even Tice, it was Tage that I was thinking of. All right, but you know what? That's still not enough to say it. I still think it's got to be.
Although shout out to my friends, former NHLers Peter and Chris Ferraro, Fort Jeff Station.
They were the first rounders from Long Island, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been others.
Whoa! Breaking news: Liljegren traded to San Jose from the Leafs.
Okay, that's an interesting one.
Right. Okay, that is interesting.
I mean, he hasn't been playing. He's been a healthy scratch.
That's interesting, especially with cap gymnastics that they got to do. Hey guys, how about a feel-good story that's going on right now? Sean Monahan has 9 points in 8 games for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And the Blue Jackets, by the way, I believe they're 4-3-1 right now. Just if anybody wants to double check that for me. And matter of fact, they're taking on the Islanders tonight, the second half of back-to-back. Anthony, throw this down to you. Sean Monahan will have the best year of his career to honor his best friend, Johnny Gaudreau.
Ooh, Mark Williams. I think his career year was 82 points
with Calgary. Yeah, he had an 80-point season.
I
don't see that.
I mean, a Columbus team, that might be tough for him to do. Certainly 9 points in 8 games. Right now he's above a point per game pace. Can he maintain that on the Columbus Blue Jackets? I don't know. I hope he does, because honestly, it would be a fabulous story.
Yeah,
but I'll say beer with the caveat of that I'm rooting for him.
Phil, what do you think?
Do I want him to? Yes.
Because
that would be the feel-good story of the NHL. Sean Monahan regains his scoring touch after his best friend and former winger line mate passes away. Yeah, that'd be great. Do I think that's likely with Columbus? I don't know. I'm going to go beer just because he's on pace right now, but I have a hard time seeing that maintain over the season, especially with them having to deal with so many injuries. Patrick Laine's not there. They lose Goodbranson. They lose other players. It seems like Columbus is just like Colorado, where they're losing players left and right. I don't know how it maintains. So
Yeah, and by the way, it's funny you say that, Matt. Who was it, Christy, that said that one?
Yeah.
That Philip was saying the same thing. Imagine what the Rangers could have gotten for Lindgren.
Yeah. By the way, the Lindgren deal. I'm sorry, the Liljegren deal is Timothy Liljegren to San Jose for a 2025 third rounder, 2026 sixth rounder, and Matt Benning. So announcing it like we're doing the trade deadline day.
I'm gonna go beer on this one. I want it to happen, guys. I don't think it's gonna happen, but you know what? It would be a great story if it did. And I'd be happy for Sean Monahan, because you know what? He's battled a lot. I mean, you look at what he went through. Yeah, last year he played for two teams, played 83 games, most in the league last year. But I mean, the year before, 25, then it was 65, 50. His production went down from 82 points in 18-19 to 48, 28, 23, and it just didn't happen. So I'd love to see if Sean Monahan could do that. But let's go to the team where they sent Patrick Laine to, which was the Montreal Canadiens. And Cole Caulfield's off to a hot start, 8 goals in 10 games right now. Hey, Phil, Cole Caulfield will score 50 goals this season.
Oh man,
Mark, by the way, you had that graphic wrong. You said 8 goals in 10 games. He's got 9 goals in 10 games.
Oh, he's got 9 now. All right, I'm sorry.
I
had the lead in. I added the game. I just didn't.
I'm gonna go round. I really do. I'm gonna go round. I just think he's already almost at 10. I mean, he has to just basically average a goal every other game for the rest of the year, which I think he's more than capable of. So, hold on here. So you think Cole Caulfield is only going to score 26 more goals the rest of the year?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not trying to bash you or anything like that, but I think Cole Caulfield is a little too good to score only 26 goals in the
I agree.
71 or 72 games that are left in the season for Montreal. I just think he's way too good for that, man.
Yeah.
44, you know what? If he ended with 44, this wouldn't shock me either. I just think that he got off to the hot start he needed to get 50.
Yeah, Anthony, what do you think?
You changed it on me. I proposed 45. You changed it to 50. So now I was ready. I was ready to
get to 50 because.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I wanted
Anthony,
something
I thought I left it at
45
55.
to work with.
Because I was ready to go round. With no convictions. 50. You know what? I'll be bold. I love the player. They don't call him Gold Caulfield for no reason. This guy is he's a pure goal scorer. I love that he changed his number to 13 in honor of Gaudreau, and he's on fire now. So I'll say round. And I'll throw this wrinkle at you to make it even more. What would you guys give up from the Rangers to get Cole Caulfield on your team?
I'd give up a time machine and go back to the 2019 draft and draft him over Puckdoku.
Let's see.
I would tell idiotic scouts to stop undermining players because they're not big and take a look at the actual talent they have.
Yeah. I don't know if you could. I don't know if I could get in the time machine, or I need the time machine. That's what I have to do. I don't know if you could talk about their current roster. I'm gonna go. Guys are gonna go shot on this. I know mathematically, Phil broke it down, and look, this guy's got all the talent in the world. And oddly enough, I'm gonna say this too. Lately, Montreal's been playing a lot of garbage time games. That you're gonna get just goals that are in garbage time. Where, yeah, the team you're playing against, if they're up big, they're not going to care. But your team kind of can lose hard on that too. So, but I think I want to see him get to 30 first. then break the plateau of 40. But after all, Chris Kreider was able to do that. He was able to break 30, 40, and 50 all in the same season. No reason Caulfield can't do it. I just figured I'll be the guy that says shot on this one. Anthony, a guy that we love on this program, we talk about him a lot, and that is Kirill Kaprizov, tied for the NHL lead in points with 18. Anthony, Kirill Kaprizov will be an MVP finalist.
I mean, I talked about him being my pick for MVP. I think it was when he had his 100-point season. Because I think he in the truest sense of the word of MVP, where some other guys, in the past, like Kucherov, when you have a stacked team with guys like Point, Stamkos at the time, McDavid is Draisaitl, etc. I mean, who does Minnesota have? I mean, Matthew Boldy is developing into a really good player. Zuccarello is a good player, but I mean, come on, if you take Kaprizov off the Minnesota Wild, I don't think they're very good. So for me, that's like the true definition of a team of an MVP. So I hope he finally gets the recognition this year. I'll go out on a limb and say round, but I mean he's incredibly talented.
I don't think it's that much of a limb to say that with, Anthony, and I'm going to go round as well because after all, a couple years ago, he got injured. I want to say it was the 22-23 season when he got injured on a check, missed about a month, and he's still 67 games, 75 points last year, 96 points in 75 games, does wonders for my fantasy team because I drafted him in, I think it was the 11th round a couple years ago, and I still get to keep him as it keeps moving up. Although I still finish in last place all the time. I still have no idea how I'm doing that. But that's a different story. But Kaprizov, I think voters kind of want to see if Minnesota can really capitalize on an opening. And it looks like there might be a shuffle up at the top because it looks like there might be one of those teams that might fall down in the Central. We're going to talk about them in a second. But if Minnesota could be like contending for the division, maybe Kirill Kaprizov could get some votes. Bilk, we'll go to you.
Connor McDavid.
That's a bold prediction, by the way.
What?
That's a bold prediction by State.
I don't think that's happening. I don't. I really don't. I look at Connor McDavid, and with his injury, he might end up losing a Hart and Art Ross finalist spot there because he's going to be out for a bit. I'm going to go Beer just because I think I look at Kucherov the season he's having, McKinnon the season he's having, and then Makar is just at another level offensively right now.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
I'm going to go Beer. I could see it. I really could, especially if he continues at this pace and ends up he ends up breaking his career high. Let's just say he scores 120 points. I think they are going to look at him as a serious finalist and give him some serious votes. And we've seen this trend where the NHL voters, they like to give out awards to first timers and not compete. So maybe Kaprizov can take advantage of that if he ends up scoring enough points.
Well, let's stay within the division and let's look at Colorado. Alexander Georgiev has a 4.62 goals against and an .822 save percentage. Yikes. Colorado will waive Alexander Georgiev by Thanksgiving. I go to the man from the hockey news down below.
I mean, if Jack Campbell can get waived on his contract, with multiple years left and $5 million AAV, Georgiev with 1 year left at 3-something certainly could. So, I mean, it depends. I mean, if Capo Kakinen, who's starting today, if he actually plays pretty well, and and Noonan is playing because he has 4 wins. Georgiev only has 1. If he keeps playing better than Georgiev and Kapokakinen performs well, I don't think they want to keep 3 goalies on the roster. And at what point are you going to keep a guy with these numbers on your team? So it's certainly possible. But I mean, if Kapokakinen doesn't play well either, then I don't know if they would waive Georgiev because what other options would there be? So I'll say Beer, but I mean it's certainly trending in that direction if Georgiev doesn't improve these numbers because right now they're brutal.
I'll tell you this. Jared Bednar said on his they said his show today on NHL Network. Jared Bednar said that they're not going to carry 3 goaltenders. They don't want they can't do that. Phil?
I don't know if it's by Thanksgiving. I don't know if it even ends up happening. To tell you the truth, maybe it does. I'm probably gonna say shot just because. Listen, I get it. They don't want to carry 3 goaltenders, but I really do have a hard time seeing them completely outright waive him. So
yeah, I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna go round on this one, guys. And I think it's also because that $3.4 million price tag that it comes off their books later, but they might be able to work that out, get him out of here. Somebody else claims him. Anonin, who's been pretty good for them. And if Kakinen could be at least somewhat steady, then maybe that helps them facilitate a move for him. Because, I mean, Georgiev has just not been doing the job. And it's funny because there is a slight parallel. I'm not going to try to bash him too much on this. There's a slight parallel to another former Ranger protege that was behind Henrik Lundqvist, or in this case for Georgiev, Igor Shesterkin. Cam Talbot went to Edmonton. He had 42 wins in 16-17. And then within 2 years, he was a Philadelphia Flyer to close out the season with a 340 goals against and 892 save percentage. He ended up moving on to Calgary and then kind of resurrected his career. So I don't know. I'm not going to say that the end for Georgiev, but maybe he's got to take a look in the mirror. I'm not taking a shot at Cam Talbot. Cam Talbot. my only shot at Cam Talbot is that Ranger fans actually thought they're like, oh, we should have kept them. We should have kept them. All right, no, you couldn't keep them. You have Henrik Lundqvist paying $8.5 million because that's what happens when you pay a goaltender $8.5 million.
Marc, whenever he hears Cam Talbot, right, or Marc in this instance right now, is that meme of the angry dude with the tears going down his face with the happy in front.
Yeah.
That is Marc right now with Talbot.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, not that I'm bashing Cam in this one. It's just it does kind of mirror that. He went on. Georgiev, I think, led the NHL last year or 2 years ago with wins. He was up there for a while. And then, you end up struggling, and then can you end up going home somewhere else? Oh, boy.
Oh, please do. Please do. Oh, my God, I would pitch in for that.
Yeah, because unfortunately, I'm gonna miss hosting duties the next 2 weeks. Definitely, at best, maybe a call in. That's what I can get, but I don't think so because we're gonna be celebrating next Wednesday night. By the way, guys, speaking about goaltenders that moved on from teams and are on their either second or third stop, how about and looking to see if they can find a home? How about Ilya Samsonov, who has got a 2.21 goals against and a .932 save percentage. His best season was with Toronto, 27, 10, and 5, 2.33 goals against, and a .919 save percentage. Ilya Samsonov will stick in Vegas, Mr. Filkowski.
I'm going to say Beer. He's playing behind a better team now than he's ever played behind, really. Washington was kind of on the downslide when he came up. Toronto wasn't a very good team in front of him in terms of defensive play. They still, they're supposedly going to try to play a little better defensively behind Craig Berube, but remains to be seen. They're still kind of adjusting to his system. I'm going to say Beer just because he's got a much better team in front of him. Even with, losing some of the guys they lost this offseason, like Marchessault and so on, I still think this is a better team. He has a better defensive corps than he's ever had in front of him with guys like Pietrangelo, Hannafin, Theodore, McNabb, White Cloud's a good bottom pairing defenseman. I mean, their defense up and down is a pretty good unit.
Anthony?
I'm gonna say Beer. And it's still early. So his numbers they could very well go down. But the one thing I'll say about him is he's been up and down. I think in 22, it was 22, 23 in Toronto. He had that 919 save percentage, and then last year he was 890. So it was like good year, bad year. So he's very up and down as the game fluctuates. So I'm not completely sold on him, but like Phil said, he is playing behind probably the best defensive groups he's ever played behind. So that certainly helps and plays into it. But I'll say Beer with that because his game could fall off again at some point. He's been very erratic his whole career.
I love the goaltending coach that's out there because I believe that's Sean Burke, right? He's still out there.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I wanted to make sure that was 100% after I said that I loved him. So anyway, the question I would have, and I'm going to go Beer on this one too, guys, because I want to be more confident when I say this. And by the way, Anthony, I did rework the Filipino one that's at the top. I'll wait for Phil to come out on that one. But the question I have is going to be games played. Now, Samsonov in his career, 26, 19, 44, 42, 40 last year with Toronto, just for this year. Now, Aiden Hill doesn't exactly have as long history of being an Iron Man. So I think he might get into that 50, maybe even 55 plateau. And you got to hope that he's conditioned to handle that. And maybe he breaks down as the season goes on. That could be a thing. I know most professional athletes, they don't. I know everybody's going to toss that off. But also, there's the mental aspect of playing that long. So there you go, right there. Anthony, we'll do this one real quick, and we'll get Phil right back on for it. So I'll do the lead in all over again. Filipino leads the NHL in plus minus with plus 11. Will Cooley plus 10 and Capo Caco plus 9. The Hito Cooley Caco is a more effective 5-on-5 line than the Kreider, Zibanejad, and Smith line. How about that?
I mean, right now, it is, but it is still short sample size, So, I mean, Kreider, Zibanejad have been over the last couple of years have been one of the Rangers' top more reliable lines. Right now, obviously, Zibanejad's playing terribly, and Kreider's been okay. So, I mean, for right now, it's around, but for me, it's still early. I mean, years past, Kako has been useless. Hito's been obviously he's dealing with those injuries and kind of failing to play with consistency. So I don't know. Again, like repeating myself, right now it's around, but I'm not sure how long. If as the season continues to grow, if they'll be able to continue this type of play they're providing. So round right now, but I'll say Beer overall.
Well, the coach certainly trusts this line a lot more. I'll tell you what, they were probably the best. Second best line in the Florida Panthers game. You were able to really notice them all throughout that game, and at least the first two periods, obviously, because they were everywhere. Hito breakaways and just great start for them. And I think right now, Peter Laviolette tends to trust them a little bit more than he trusts the Zibanejad line. I'm going to go round on this. It's just, they need to figure out how to fix that Kreider's, Banijad, and Smith line, and it's gonna be very tricky to do that. All right, well, guys, we'll wrap up the NHL Bar Talk right there since we're missing one of our key men at the moment. But don't worry, we got some blind rankings and also some Puckdoku and a couple nameless players. So, Anthony, since you are the only person right now that's on the board, who do you have? What would you like to have? You have a choice of, we're going to do 5 blind rankings, but it's going to be, you have Stanley Cup final losers since 2010 or MVPs since 2010.
I'll do. I guess I'll do MVP.
All right. So we got blind rankings for MVPs, and we're gonna go. And just for right now, I'm gonna pull Phil out right there. Get him back in a moment. All right, Anthony. Here we go. MVPs. Connor McDavid, 2023.
1.
Patrick Kane, 2016.
3.
Evgeny Malkin, 2012.
4.
Corey Perry, 2011.
5.
And lastly, Nikita Kucherov.
2.
And you got the 2. All right. You didn't fall for it. You didn't put somebody else ahead.
Nope.
So, all right.
You gotta wake up pretty early in the morning to fool me. You Will Levis son of a bitch.
Yeah, well, if you're already fooled, which I guess that would be me. But trying to get this order right, because we had Kane at 4, Perry 5, and Kucherov at 2. So want to make sure I get this right for later. All right. And do we have Phil get back? All right. Now, Anthony, you ready for another one then?
Sure.
Okay. Like I said, Stanley Cup losers since 2010. And we'll start with the 2014 New York Rangers. Now, they got to lose in the Stanley Cup Finals, by the way.
5.
2011 Vancouver Canucks.
4.
2017 Nashville Predators.
3.
2019 Boston Bruins.
1.
2022 Tampa Bay Lightning.
2.
All right. That's actually, it's not that bad of a list. I think I would have gone Predators, and now that I know the list, obviously, probably would have got Rangers a little bit higher. The Canucks are the tough part.
I would have put Nashville 5, Rangers 4, but yeah.
All right. Since I don't know on Filk at the moment, let's go to name this player. So, Anthony, here we go. Or as Mario would say, here we go. All right. All right. Anthony, let's go with this one. And let me just get a chance to announce everything this guy has, all the teams he's been on. So we have this player, you're going to get him pretty quickly. Started with the New York Islanders. He was a defenseman. Played 80 games at 34 points in his first season.
Chris Campoli.
Then he moved on to the Ottawa Senators and then to the Chicago Blackhawks, back to Ottawa and then Montreal. And the answer, of course, is Chris Campoli. All right. So yeah, that one. Okay, that one was good. You done good. You done good. All right. Let's see whether or not you can get this one that is incoming. And a little share screen, and we'll go with this former New York Ranger. He started out with the LA Kings. Getting it up right now. There we go. Started out with the LA Kings. He scored 35 goals in 06-07 after 2009-2010 season, where he had 51 points. He moved on to the New York Rangers, played 43 games, 7 goals, 9 assists. Anthony, name this player.
Alexander Frolov.
Ding, 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 ding. Alexander Frolov is the answer on that one. Who'd have thought he would be so terrible when he was with that team? That's the one that I'm like, you gotta be kidding me on that one. And I got one more for you. And I have a feeling you're gonna get this one quickly. I'm gonna try to get it out as fast as possible. Here we go. All right. Started out with the Florida Panthers, and then he moved on to the Calgary Flames, where he had a 34-goal season and 77 points as well, 43 assists. He then went to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and that's where he would finish up the last 4 years of his career.
Christian Huselius.
Christian Huselius is the answer on that one. Always one of those guys I would acquire in NHL. NHL 2000, 2005, I would always get him on there. And by the way, Evan chimed in from Ranger Central. He would have put that order just the way you said it before. Put the 22 Tampa Bay Lightning in there at number 3. So it would have been Boston, Vancouver. Although that Vancouver team was real good. It's just when you saw the way that they lost to Boston those last 2 games. It's just it's not as good. It's just not.
I got a quick blind ranking for you. You Mason Rudolph son of a gun.
All right. What do you got?
I'm going to do Rangers goaltenders. You left Marcus Mariota?
No, I'm right here. I'm right here.
I'm just finishing.
Except you like to do the 10.
No, I'm gonna do 5.
All right, good. Because I have the editing purposes to keep it short. I like to do the 5.
I'm gonna do 5 for you. Don't wanna overwhelm you. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and
This is killing me.
Okay. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Steve Weeks.
5.
Steven Valiquette.
Oh, I know the direction you're going with on this one now. I think he was quite a good backup for Lundqvist when he was with the Rangers. And I'm gonna go with 4.
Okay, that's fair.
To be fair,
Marty Biron.
Marty Biron was an excellent backup, but I gotta leave space for your guys that you're gonna. Oh, you're already laughing. Oh, should I go further up? I'm gonna put Marty Biron at 3. I'm gonna keep him at 3, and I'm gonna fall into the trap.
You're gonna leave him at 3, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Kevin Weeks.
Oh, Kevin Weeks. Kevin Weeks was actually the starter in the 2005 season, and he still got a good bulk of games the following year. Weeksy, I would have moved him to 3. I got to put Weeksy at 2. So who am I stuck with at 1?
All right. Mackenzie Skapaski.
Okay, Mackenzie Skapski, the greatest New York Ranger backup of all time. He played a total of 2 games. One of them was a shutout, and he was born on the day the New York Rangers won the Stanley Cup.
So you have to put him at number 1 now.
I gotta put him at 1. Oh my goodness! All right, see, this is the great part about blind rankings. When you said that at first, when you said Steve Weeks, I'm going, all right, Steven Weeks. That's an easy one. He's 5. And then when he went to Valcata, I'm going, it's gonna be backups. So then I'm sitting there going, oh, there's backups you could throw in there. Hell, you could throw Glenn Healy in there. That would really screw me.
I knew you probably were trying to save 1 in case I gave you a Lundqvist or a Shesterkin.
Yeah, I was ready for that one. Yeah. I love whenever we can do themes. That's always the best one. So I guess one of these days I might have to do like 30 goal scorers, stuff like that. And always for us. All right, Anthony, let's do a quick Puckdoku. And then I got a lovely dinner to have with a very lovely companion. And for those of you who I have not said this to or didn't notice, I'll be off the next 2 weeks, as I mentioned, getting married on November 9th. And we cannot wait. Cannot say that enough. So it's getting close to crunch time, and it's just been hard to believe it's already been like 14 months since I proposed. So 15, almost 15 actually. All right, Anthony, let's get this going right here. Puckdoku. And all right. So we got on the top row, Blackhawks, Phoenix Coyotes, or Arizona, whichever one you want to say, and 2018-2019 players that played in the playoffs. So you have the Maple Leafs, Bruins, and Carolina Hurricanes going the other way. Anthony, where do you want to start?
We'll start with my 2 favorites. We'll do a constant crossman for the Blackhawks and the Whalers, Hurricanes.
Mm-hmm. Doug Crossman. There we go. And I love the constant crossman.
And then I'm going to give you my daily Didic for the Maple Leafs and the Coyotes.
Oh, the Maple Leafs and the Coyotes. Oh, I almost put him with Toronto.
Yeah.
Didic. Okay. There is, of course, Gerald Didic. All right. So we have Blackhawks and we still got like 7 squares. I can't announce them all.
The first player that comes to mind when I think of Bruins Blackhawks, I think of Brian Berard.
You know what? I would have actually have said maybe Bobby Orr, but I do think Brian Berard is a hell of an answer, and we'll go with that one. 0.2%.
Most people don't remember Brian Berard with either team, really, but especially the Blackhawks.
Yeah, the Blackhawks, I remembered. I think that was after the Rangers, and I think he had his. I think he went to the Bruins before closing out with the Islanders. I'm going to go to this one. One of the ones I like to go to on this, the often forgotten New York Ranger Wayne Presley, who played for both teams. And he's
Wow,
0.1%.
I'll give you kudos on that one. I never even heard of Wayne Presley.
He was like a third liner, and then he ended up having this highlight reel goal after the Rangers traded him to Toronto. I forgot.
Yeah,
I think it was Sergio Momesso. I think they traded him for.
Yeah, I never heard of him, so that's a good one.
Yeah.
Bruins Coyotes. Did Dave Scatchard play for Boston? I know he played for. I'm pretty sure he played for Phoenix.
I'll double check that. I do believe your beloved former third liner, Dave Scatchard, did play for that. Hell of a player Dave Scatchard was. Yes, he was with the Bruins 2005, 2006, and with the Coyotes 2005 to 2007. So yeah, let's get that one. We'll get Dave Scatchard in right now. Dave Scatchard. Okay, so we still have
the last column is going to be the column that's going to be hard to make it like a less than 1% because it's
it's recent. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But you just got to try to figure out people that played in those playoffs.
I got one for Hurricanes Coyotes. The player I'm thinking of. I'll see if you could take a guess who I'm thinking of. He used to play for the Islanders. He's currently I don't know what you want to call him, a developmental coach. He's on their coaching staff.
On their coaching staff. Position?
He was a defenseman.
Keith Acton, I believe, was a center. The coaching staff. I'm blanking on him right now. What do you got?
Dennis Seidenberg.
Oh, hey, that's a hell of a guess. Yeah. So is he an answer right here?
Yep.
He is? All right.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's also a hell of a player. And we are still at 0.4%. So still at 0, Anthony. Now we got the guys in the playoffs. Now, I don't think, does it have to be in the playoffs with these particular teams?
Yeah, click the box. I'll say
it. Click in the box. Oh. Okay, yes. Must play for one game for the team listed in that season. So because the Maple Leafs never really had that much of a they haven't won many playoff series in a while. I want to say Patrick Marleau, but that's going to be too easy. Anthony, what do you think about a guy that I always had on my fantasy team for a while? I mean, I picked him up. I dropped him so many times I can't even think. Nikita Zaitsev.
Yeah, he was on the Leafs.
Yeah, did he play a playoff game, though? That's the hard part. Nikita Zaitsev. Yes, he did play. He played 7 playoff games that year. You want to try that one out? We're good? Okay. Nikita Zaitsev, we got 1. All right. Let's go to the Bruins, Anthony. What do we got? And they played the full postseason that year. They went all the way to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Boston.
Krejci.
I got one.
What do you got?
Carson Kuhlman.
Carson Kuhlman. Let's see. With a see, nope.
Carson with a K.
Carson with a K. There you go, Carson Kuhlman. We're at a 2.
That was a 1%.
We're at 2. Yeah, 1% picked them out.
Yeah.
So now we just got a Hurricane that's left, and 2018, 2019 season. That was when they that's when the Islanders lost to them, right?
Yeah. No.
No.
Wait. Yes. The Islanders swept the Penguins, and then the Hurricanes swept the
And
Islanders.
then
Yeah.
they swept the Islanders, yeah.
And then the Bruins swept them.
Yeah, talk about oddities.
Lucas Walmark.
You threw that one out of nowhere. Lucas Walmark. And we still have a uniqueness of too, Mr. Laraco.
Well, because when you mentioned the Islander playoff series, I just thought back to that series, and I remember him, for whatever reason, I remember him sticking out, having the Islanders play.
John Moore, Chris Wagner, and Connor Clifton are the only ways we could have improved on that. Frederick Gauthier is the only way we could have improved on the Zaitsev, and we still would have had a 0. So there we go. Let's get back to. We'll do the quick pyramid and go on right there.
I have a question for Maria. Are we going to be able to get Mark Williams dancing, ripping up the dance floor at any point?
Oh, I am definitely going to be ripping up the dance floor. I am told. Yeah, well, first off, you got to dance with your wife. Secondly, and secondly, yeah, definitely. I was more than happy to be dancing with her at the last 2 weddings that we went to, and she knows my propensity to goof around as I'm a dancer. And as a dancer, I'm not really much of a. I don't think I'm a good dancer, even though I come from a family of dancing instructors. That's a different story. But I mean, one man really is a good dancer. All right, Anthony, let's look at this one. You have a 60-point season, a first-round draft pick, a Philadelphia Flyer that's on the bottom, and the second level is a King, a 40-goal season, and then someone that's done all that and played for the Tampa Bay Lightning to start. So a 60-point season, any team.
Just looking at this, I feel like it's leading us towards Simon Gagne.
I was thinking Vinny LeCavalier.
That too.
So,
all right, well, this first and just a player who had 60 points.
Mike Rogers.
Sure.
The New York Ranger that has 100 points. So, easy one. Someone drafted in the first round that scored 60 points.
Josh Bailey.
Now, I had to double check the point total on this one. So now we need somebody 60 points drafted in the first round. Does Sammy Kapanen fit into there? Sammy Kapanen. He was a 4th rounder.
I don't.
He did have 60 points.
Yeah. 60 points. What about Mike Sillinger? So I know Mike Sillinger, he was drafted in the first round by the Red Wings. I think the Red Wings. He played for the Flyers. Did he have 60 points?
I will check on that right now. I can tell you Keith Primeau had 73. So we have Keith Primeau locked and loaded. Sillinger we might need to keep because he played for every franchise.
My only worry with Keith Primeau is it might be high on the uniqueness.
Yeah, Mike Sillinger, he's got the Tampa Bay part.
Tampa Bay.
He's
well,
got
we don't have to worry about it
season because he did it. He did it with He did it when he was with 2 different teams. When he started with Nashville, finished with St. Louis. And he had 63 on those. He played for the Flyers at one point. Okay, so Sillinger could be there.
Wait, I'm looking at his hockey DB. His career high is his career high is 59 with the Islanders.
No, look at
Where do you
0506. He split between Nashville and St. Louis.
Oh, and good catch. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sillinger is an answer. Can he be used anywhere else over there? Can be used for
Did he
the
play
LA
for
Kings
LA?
too.
Did he play for LA?
Hold on.
No, he
Let's
didn't.
check that. He didn't?
He didn't. No.
All right. Mike Sillinger it is. It's saying incorrect.
No. Why do they not? I feel like it's done this to us before. Why do they not count if it's split between two teams? I don't understand.
Well, we're gonna do this all over again now. Yeah,
All right,
that's
Mike Rogers.
Josh Bailey. At least it started nice and low right here. All right, so
All right, what about Ron Sutter? He was
Ron
drafted by
Sutter?
the first round, and he was drafted by the first round by the Flyers.
okay. Ron Sutter is in. We still have zero uniqueness.
There you go.
Okay. So we need 60 points in the season. An LA King, a Philadelphia Flyer, and drafted in the first round.
All right. This is first round, 60 points, Flyers, Kings. Well, I feel like Jeff Carter and Mike Richards are too obvious here, no?
Yeah. They're way too obvious.
Did Marc Recchi? He never played for the Kings, right?
No, I don't believe Recchi ever played for the Kings. Trying to check real quick.
What about
go ahead.
Did Joseph Baranek ever play for the Kings?
No.
And he wasn't.
I got a guy that's definitely in there.
He wasn't first round. He wasn't first round anyway.
All right, Joseph Baranek is the first round. All right, Paul Coffey definitely fits that.
But yeah,
But
I feel like that's in the same vein. I feel like that's the same vein as Richards and Carter.
Not as bad. It's Coffey would be there. People would remember Richards and Carter first.
What about Jeff Sanderson? My only question is, was he drafted in the first round and did he play for the Kings? I don't think he played for the Kings.
Jeff Sanderson did not play for the Kings.
And he wasn't first round either.
And he was a second round draft pick.
Russ Courtnall. I know he played for the Kings. Did he play for the Flyers?
All right, Russ Courtnall, drafted first round, 7th overall. He played for the Kings, and he does not check out for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Damn it!
Definitely somebody that we're missing.
I feel like Jeff Courtnall is the opposite. I feel like he played for the Kings but didn't play for the Flyers.
Feeling like there's a guy like Brian Propp or somebody like that we're definitely overlooking. Or
actually, Jeff Courtnall didn't play for either. I
was hoping Peter Zezel would be there, but he doesn't have a 60-point season.
Well, I'm checking Paul Ranheim. Nope.
No, Ranheim definitely doesn't.
He was a second round pick.
We got to save Vincent LeCavalier and
no, I think we have to save LeCavalier or Gagne for the last one for Tampa.
Trying to think of who was Chris Gratton. Did he ever play for the Kings?
Ooh, that's a good one. Chris Gratton might. Did he?
Nope, never played for the Kings.
All right.
Philadelphia, Colorado, Buffalo, Tampa Bay.
Brian Smolinski never played for Philly.
Oh my God, the guy that Damon Langkow. How about that? Did he ever get the 60 points? And he didn't play with the Kings anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Tampa. Time's wasted, Anthony. We're gonna have to finish this up soon.
What about no.
See, because we can't use coffee. We can't use coffee for the rest of them after that. So coffee would still be good right here.
What about Jan? No, Jan Holovic never did anything, right? He
never had a. Oh, he had. Never. No, didn't have enough points. Dvorak had a 30-point season, but I don't think he ever played for the Kings.
Who did?
I don't think Dvorak did.
No, I don't think he did.
Let's go to some of these comments. Let's see what you guys got going.
My comments are frozen. I don't see any comments other than the last comment I have is from Maria. I don't see anybody.
Yeah. And again, a thank you for all this. We'll be popping champagne next Wednesday night. So
maybe we go.
You know, and Evan's right about this one. Came from such a long way from me talking about my lousy love life to the one that I'm happy about. So nice. Let me get your face on cover.
What about Dave Babbage?
Dave Babbage, that's a good one. Hey, Babbage. I hate that guy. Dave Babbage did play for the LA Kings, did play for the Philadelphia Flyers, and he has a 69-point season. Anthony, I think we have a wiener right here.
Fire that sucker in there.
Dave Babbage right there, still at 0. We got a 40-goal season. Now, we can't go to Simone Gagne just yet, right?
No, I think we have to go LeCavier on this.
Well, I think if we do that, it's LeCavier. Let me just check one thing, because I think we got a guy like, all right, Tomas Stanstrom didn't go to the Flyers. Kevin Stevens, what about him?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Kevin Stevens, yep. Kevin Stevens finished with the Flyers. You know for a fact, I mean, the guy scored 50 goals, so he had.
Well, hold on. Kevin Stevens, was he drafted in the first round?
No, 6th round.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the next one after that would be Rick Tocchet. 6th round as well.
Yeah, I would go LeCavier here.
All right, hold on. There might be one more option. Paul Coffey scored 48 goals.
What?
We can use Paul Coffey. What do you think, LeCavier or Coffey?
I would go LeCavier.
Okay, all right, so we're going to go LeCavier. We'll see about how that is. Okay, LeCavier, here we go. Uniqueness of 4. And then this should be Simone Gagne, right?
Yep.
Maybe if I put the G in the right spot. Uniqueness scorer 19. Let's see what we could have done. Jeff Carter would have been there. Dan Quinn would have helped out.
Quinn. Ooh.
LeCavier was the right answer, Anthony.
Yeah.
Jeremy Roenick. How about that one? And then for the end, LeCavier and Gagne. You were right that we're going to spit those.
The Babbage box. The one we used, where we used Babbage.
Dave Babbage was the second least. Serge Bernier and Dan Quinn were the 2 lowest. Coffee 3.8 was in there. Simone Gagne 2.9. Really, so they were holding out a lot of these answers for later. And of course, the Flyer with No idea. Wouldn't know
Yeah.
them at all. So there we go. All right.
All right.
I kept the other ones separate just in case. So
I gotta
All
head
right.
out.
yeah, Anthony,
guess
I gotta head out.
Phil just randomly left, huh?
He must have had a work thing or something like that.
Yeah.
So it
All right.
happened.
I'll see you later, Mark.
No problem. Guys, so I'm gonna play the song real quick. I'll take a couple questions and then you won't see me for about 2 weeks, guys. So that finally, although we're doing a honeymoon, we're not gonna just a little getaway. Yeah, I mean, Jeremy Roenick, I think it was obvious for like a different one, but I don't know. That one kind of shocked me on that one. Actually, you know something? If I can find it, maybe I'll use this for the ending song for the wedding. Because after all, this is my cousin Phil. He's been nice on that. Mike, thank you very much. And yeah, we were at the Ranger game last week, everybody, and we wore a Messier and a Graves jersey with a sign that said "Next up for a wedding is on 11/9." It was fantastic. Great reception from people. One person screamed out "bullshit" from 3 sections over. That was kind of funny. We were on the big screen, so. But dinner is awaiting. My lovely fiance voted today, so I hope you guys went out and voted. This is coming from the guy that used to say the best way to spend my time is stay home. Now suddenly, now I'm the guy that's going into early voting. So how about that? Wicked. Let me just check that one for you. Did James Wisniewski play for Chicago? Remember when he was with the Islanders and kind of made that gesture. Wisniewski played for Chicago, never got to the Flyers. All right, guys. As always, thank you very much for joining us every single week. It's really special. I'll see you in a couple weeks. We're trying to arrange a guest host to come on with Anthony and Phil, and hopefully he's going to be here because it'll be a great privilege to have him. He's one of the guys that's always on with us. So, guys, thank you very much, and we will see you soon. Goodbye. Time to go. It's been nice, you know.